For 51-year-old Suzanne Simpson, life in Olmos Park, Texas, seemed absolutely picture-perfect. She was a successful luxury realtor, a devoted mother of four, and was truly beloved in her community. But on October 6, 2024, after attending an exclusive party at a private members club, Suzanne vanished without a trace. Suzanne Clark Simpson graduated from the University of Texas at Austin back in 1995 with a communications degree. After a 6-year stint at Dell Computers, she made a pivotal career change, transitioning into real estate. She went on to build a remarkable 13-year career with Nix Realty. Her colleagues described her as tireless, insightful, and just deeply committed to her clients. To friends and family, she was the cheerful, approachable, and loving supermom who seemed to effortlessly balance running marathons, arranging playdates, and cheering at high school lacrosse games. Suzanne and her husband, Brad, had been married for 22 years. They were raising their children in a beautiful century-old bungalow in Olmos Park, which is one of Texas's most affluent and exclusive neighborhoods. Crime was almost unheard of here. But behind the closed doors of that idyllic home, Suzanne's life was anything but perfect. Her husband, 53-year-old Brad Chandler Simpson, stood at an imposing 6 feet 5 inches and also worked as a real estate agent and investor. Simpson and his family have an extensive real estate portfolio throughout San Antonio and broader Texas. Over the years, public records linked him to at least 15 different Texas companies, most of which had failed. He faced a string of lawsuits, mounting financial troubles, and contentious disputes that had even escalated all the way to the Texas Supreme Court. Friends described him as confident, but they also used other words: jealous and controlling. One friend revealed that Brad secretly tracked Suzanne's phone. Another said he would regularly confiscate it from her, cutting her off from the outside world. Then, in August of 2024, just 2 months before she disappeared, Suzanne confided a horrifying secret to her banker. She told him that Brad was physically abusive. And then she added something absolutely chilling. "If I ever go missing, look for me in a lake." Despite these terrifying warnings, there were no police reports filed, no protective orders sought. The abuse remained a dark secret, hidden from everyone. The night of the disappearance, on October 6th, Suzanne attended a party at the Argyle, an exclusive private dining club in the area. Multiple witnesses saw a heated altercation between her and Brad at the event. Their own daughter later told a counselor that Brad had pushed Suzanne against a wall, hit her in the face, and injured her elbow. Suzanne left the party with her daughter around 8:30 p.m. and was later seen on surveillance footage at a nearby grocery store. By 9:15 p.m., she managed to make a call to a friend. Moments later, she called her mother, reporting that Brad had assaulted her again. At that exact same time, phone records show that Brad suspended Suzanne's cell phone service. Her phone was cut off. By 10:22 p.m., Suzanne's phone was tracked back to the Simpson residence, and that would be its last known location. Sometime between 10 and 11 p.m., a neighbor witnessed a terrifying scene. They saw Brad and Suzanne fighting in their own front garden. The neighbor watched as Suzanne broke free and made a desperate run for the nearby woods. Brad chased right after her. Moments later, the neighbor heard 2 to 3 distinct screams coming from that brushy, wooded area. I have to ask this: did the neighbor call the police? They were the last sounds anyone would ever hear from Suzanne Simpson. Around midnight, Brad's truck was seen on camera leaving the residence, only to return hours later. Forensic examiners would later discover something very unusual about his phone activity during this period. It was cycling in and out of lockdown mode, a tactic rarely seen, and one typically used by individuals trying to avoid location detection. At 12:33 a.m., just after midnight, security cameras captured Brad's truck, and in the back was a large ice chest. By the next morning, Suzanne's phone pinged for the very last time in a business car park miles away. It was never recovered. Later that same day, surveillance video showed Brad dropping his daughter off at school. The footage clearly showed several large rubbish bags and that same ice chest still sitting in the truck bed. At 9:12 a.m., a drive-through camera gave investigators another crucial look at Brad's truck. It was now loaded with not just the rubbish bags and ice chest, but also a heavy-duty bin and a large, bulky item completely wrapped in a blue tarpaulin. The tarp-covered object was being weighed down by a heavy firewood rack. Investigators noted that this is a common method criminals use to conceal a victim's body. Just minutes after this sighting, Brad was seen on camera at a store buying cement, a construction bucket, more heavy-duty rubbish bags, disinfectant spray, and insect repellent. He paid for all of it in cash. He even asked a complete stranger for directions to the nearest dump. Location data from his phone then placed Brad near a waste facility and shortly after, at a petrol station. At the station, the rubbish bags were gone from his truck, but the tarp, the bin, and the ice chest remained. Hours later, more cameras showed the truck again. Now, the tarpaulin was missing, and the firewood rack had been repositioned. By the afternoon, he was at a car wash meticulously scrubbing his truck both inside and out. When police later examined the vehicle, they found dried cement splashes inside. Despite Suzanne being missing for nearly a full day, Brad never called the police. It wasn't until almost 24 hours after she was last seen that a friend confronted him about her whereabouts. Only then did Brad leave a casual voicemail for the Almos Park police chief, claiming that Suzanne had simply lost her phone. This was a direct contradiction of the phone records, which proved that he himself had suspended her service. Brad then relocated to his ranch. From there, he sent a series of desperate text messages to his business partner, James Cotter, making strange references to guns and secrecy. On October 8th, he created 2 notes on his phone. The first was titled, "This Next Life." The second was titled, "Last Will and Testament." In these notes, he apologized for the assaults on Suzanne. He also called his brother to apologize for all the problems he had caused. At 1:30 the morning of October 9th, Brad was finally arrested on charges of assault, family violence, and unlawful restraint. Officers noted he had fresh lacerations and bruises but showed very little emotion. A search of the Simpson home revealed that bags of cement and heavy-duty rubbish bags were missing. They also found an indentation on a wall that was consistent with his daughter's account of the abuse. And in the home, police found multiple firearms, including an unlicensed short-barrel rifle. On October 9th, Texas Rangers made a grim discovery on Brad's ranch. They found a recent burn site. Among the ashes were the remains of a destroyed laptop and 3 mobile phones belonging to Brad, all deliberately burned to obliterate any data they might have contained. Multiple search teams mobilized in the days following Suzanne's disappearance, working tirelessly to locate her. December 2024, Brad is indicted on multiple felony counts, including first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Defense petitions for Brad's release from jail, arguing insufficient evidence. What about the DNA found on his saw? Motions denied. He remains in custody. February 2025 court hearings begin. Defense challenges DNA evidence found on Brad's saw. April 2025. Judge delays ruling on dismissal motions. Case continues toward trial. Mid-2025. Custody hearings held regarding Brad's children, confirming he is still jailed under bond restrictions. November 2025. Brad Simpson remains in jail awaiting trial with no conviction yet. Suzanne's body has not been found, but prosecutors argue she is presumed dead. Brad faces serious charges but has not yet been found guilty. He is confined in Bexar County Jail while awaiting trial. Defense continues to push for dismissal or release, but courts have kept him detained. Brad's trial date tentatively set to February 2026. James Cotter, Brad Simpson's longtime business partner, filed motions in court as part of the investigation into Suzanne Simpson's murder. Cotter is accused of helping hide an illegal firearm, AK-47, that was illegally modified. Authorities said the firearm was modified into a machine gun, which was not correctly registered. His filings seek to suppress evidence and block mention of past convictions, arguing he should not be tied to Brad Simpson's alleged actions. Prosecutors insist the cases are connected, while the judge must decide how much overlap is allowed at trial. Chandler Simpson, 20 years old, daughter of Suzanne and Brad Simpson, has been outspoken since her mother's disappearance in October 2024. She publicly accused her father of killing Suzanne, saying he acted in a state of rage and control. She has vowed to be the voice of my mother until she is found. She uses social media and interviews to keep attention on the case. Advocates against domestic violence, urging others to recognize warning signs. Chandler has become the most visible family member in the media, symbolizing resilience and determination to seek justice for Suzanne. Abra Liberman Garrett, Suzanne's friend and member of the Missing Suzanne Simpson Discussion and Updates Facebook group, is outspoken about domestic violence. For her birthday last year, she encouraged the community to donate to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Suzanne Simpson vanished into the night. The evidence points towards a chilling and undeniable truth, but her body has never been found. The case remains a haunting reminder of how quickly a seemingly perfect life can unravel, and how the darkest secrets kept behind closed doors can end in absolute tragedy. If you have any information, you are asked to call the Olmos Police Department. You can also contact Yami by emailing yvirgin@sbgtv.com. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into complex cases. Stay safe out there.